Just what you always
Welcome to
wanted
the
to hear.
Faith to Influence referral call. We are recording this to the cloud for all of you who could not be on live or want to watch this again. If you missed the jokes of the first 20 minutes of this call, which was basically just straight jokes, I'm sorry. We should have recorded for your own entertainment. And this is why you got to be on live. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive into referrals now. We're moving on from charcuterie boards, cheese curds, beer, cold brew coffee, events, boss babes, and whatever other topics we addressed over the last 20 minutes. All right, referrals. This structure is really important to me. At my former company, we didn't have any marketing, really. We didn't even have a website for some of my time there. For the first couple of years, there was no website I could direct people to. There was no material I could send somebody who wanted more information about who we were. There was no lead service. There were no Facebook ads. There was no Facebook page. There was no Instagram page. There was no marketing or lead generation support for me for the vast majority of my time there. So 95% of my sales came from people I knew and referrals. This was the only way for me to be successful there. The alternative way that I tried was sending cold LinkedIn messages to CEOs I didn't know, who didn't know me, who couldn't find a website about us, and therefore weren't so interested in what I had to say. And it was only once I switched to talking to referrals of the few clients that we had that I started to have tremendous success. In fact, the first quarter, I decided that it was time to focus on referral mastery and making this like a key goal of my day-to-day career. I got a new comp plan for my company, and there were several layers. There was a point structure. And at 20 points, I would get a certain bonus for the quarter. At 40 points, another bonus. At 60, another bonus. At 80, another bonus. And at 100 points, a maximum bonus. And I remember my sales manager at the time saying, maybe if you work really, really hard, you could hit this 100-point bonus at some point within the next 3 years. And I hit it that quarter. And I hit it that quarter because I had a referral focus. And I made one sale turn into two, and two turn into three. And nearly everyone who was buying from me was giving me referrals to more people who were buying from me. And what I found is that a warm, trusting referral, especially in a coaching business and a retreat-based business, in a group coaching program, was the greatest possible thing I could get. And this is how I really built my successful career in coaching, was by mastering this process. And I created this process after reading a few books, thinking through like all the different referral processes I had at my different direct sales companies in my 15 years in sales, and trial and error, to be honest with you. And it works very well. More important though than you honoring every step of this 10-step process to a T is that you ask for referrals every time. The number one reason people don't get referrals is because they don't ask for referrals. So if you ask and you don't do it very well, you're not perfect, you miss some steps, you're still going to get way more referrals than the person who doesn't ask. And so my encouragement to you above all else would be to say that this might be just as important or more than your sales process. And that most important thing you could possibly take away and do is just ask everyone every time. That's it. If you just said, hi, can you give me some referrals? And then saw where the conversation went from there, you'd have more success than the person who doesn't ask. And here are 10 steps that are going to communicate how you can ask in a really strong way. The first step of a referral process is to have a powerful pre-frame. You know that having a pre-frame is one of the most important things you can do in any conversation with sales or leadership. And the pre-frame for referrals sounds something like this. It's, hey, John, thanks so much for taking the time to connect with me today. What I want to do on our call is get some feedback from you on what your favorite thing has been about being a client so far. And then I want to share with you some of the goals that I'm working towards and talk about our ideal client profile so you and I can brainstorm together who you know, who might fit that profile. And if anyone you introduce me to comes to one of our events, I'll give you $100 as a thank you. Does that sound good? Yes. So there's really three things I'm pre-framing. The first is I want to get feedback from them on how they've enjoyed being a client so far, or how they enjoyed our sales process, or how they enjoyed our event, or how they enjoyed our webinar, or how they've enjoyed following our posts on social media, or whatever it is that I know that they've experienced with us that they like, or experienced with me that they like. I want to get feedback. Second thing after I get feedback from them is I want to talk to them about my goals, or my business development plan is how I oftentimes say it. I'd like to talk to you about my business development plan. And the third thing is that I'd like to share with you our ideal client profile, so we can brainstorm together who you know who might fit that profile. And then you could just say, does that sound good? Which is getting your yes, getting your adherence. Or if you want to offer an incentive, this is where you would offer it. And I say, and by the way, for anyone who you refer me to who buys our retreat, I'll give you $100 as a thank you. Or you might say, and by the way, if you introduce me to someone who buys my coaching package or becomes a client, I'll give you $100 as a thank you. Or I'll give you a $50 gas card. Or I'll send a special gift your way. Or I'll give you a Faith to Influence hat. Or whatever you want to offer. Studies have shown that incentives increase the number of referrals that are given. However, the size of the incentive doesn't matter all that much. So you don't actually have to give $1,000 referral bonus, or $500 referral bonus, or $100 referral bonus even. In fact, you offering a $25 bonus of some kind might be just as effective as $100. Offering an incentive, though, is helpful. And your incentive could be based on how many referrals they make for you rather than how many people buy. It could be based on whether or not people buy. There's a number of different ways to do this. And always, is that cool or sound good? Something to get that yes in the pre-frame. Once they've agreed, yes, that pre-frame makes sense to me, I'm okay with that. Again, I'm going to give it to you one more time. John, thanks for taking the time to connect with me today. I want to make the best use of your time and mine. So I'd like to lay out a little structure for this call. Would that be all right? Yes, cool. What I want to do is get some feedback from you on what your experience has been like being a client so far. Then I want to share with you my business development plan for the rest of 2020. And I'd like to talk to you about our ideal client profile to see who you know who might fit that profile. And anyone who you introduce me to who ends up coming to one of our events, I'll send $100 your way as a thank you for. Does that sound good? Cool. This is how I'm pre-framing the call when I've lined up a specific referral call, which is what I would do when I was just beginning this process. For the first couple of years of employing it, every single person who came to a retreat, I asked them for a 15-minute call after the retreat. I said, hey, can we jump on a call for 15 minutes this Tuesday or Thursday? I'd love to get some feedback from you on what you thought of our retreat. And I'd like to talk to you about my business development plan and see if you might know some people who I should be talking to. Are you available on Tuesday or Thursday? Like, that was it. And I just have a call with every single person. And eventually I started teaching at retreats because the people we work with need this skill set. And I would ask by way of like explaining and showing and displaying how to use this process. I would just ask them there as a group. So if you are running a retreat with a group who should be asking for referrals, you could teach them the process, and by teaching, ask them as a group. But you also could go one at a time, just ask every single person. It worked really well. So they would get on the call with me knowing that this is what I was going to ask about, but then I'd give the pre-frame and they'd be like, yeah, of course. Like, that's what we got on this call for, and we'd move forward. You could, though, use a process similar to this at the end of a sales call you're already having. You could, at the end of the call, say, hey, do you have a few more minutes available? Yes. Okay, cool. I really want to get your feedback on what you thought of our sales process. This is designed to ideally be a leadership-based process where you're receiving coaching and value. And I just want to get your feedback on what that's looked like for you so far. And then I'd like to talk to you about my business development plan and share my ideal client profile with you so that there's people that I should be talking to. You can make an introduction for me. And if you introduce me to anyone who ends up coming to our event or buying our program, I'll throw $100 your way as a thank you. Does that sound good? And you can just transition into it right at the end of a phone call. Whether the person bought or not, you could easily transition to that. We are recording this, and you will get the recording in the group text thread. Okay. Once I've pre-framed it and they've said yes, step 2 is to receive positive feedback. Now listen, there's a time and a place for constructive criticism. There's a time and a place for you to go to your clients and say, hey, what can we do better? I want to get better at our program. I want to get better at our event. Can you give us some constructive criticism? And I think it's a wonderful thing to receive from our clients who know us well, who we trust. That said, during the referral conversation is not the time to receive constructive criticism. This is a time where I want to put my referrer in a state of appreciation. I want them reminding themselves what they love so much about being a client of ours so that they're in a state to give referrals. It's just like our sales conversation. The first thing you do is prepare your own state. Well, this is us helping prepare our state and prepare their state for maximum referrals. So I ask for feedback in a way that typically generates a positive answer. So I'm not going to say, what did you think of the retreat? I'm going to say, what was your favorite part of the retreat? It'd be tricky and unlikely and difficult for them to actually answer that with something negative. What was your favorite part of the retreat? Or what do you like most about being a client at Faith to Influence? Or what do you like most about our coaches mastermind? In which case you're going to be like, man, I love the people. Teresa McCloy's the coolest. Man, I love Michael's cell phone selfies. Man, I really like Paige's creative ideas. Man, I really like David Lee's wisdom and his marketing, and I like to learn from him. Man, I really love Pressy's internet connection. No, man, I really love Pressy's smile and positive attitude and how much fun he brings to the community. Man, I really like McCall's comb over or whatever it is that you like. You're going to tell us about that. So that's what you're going to say when I say, what's your favorite thing about this program? Or what do you like most about it? I might even at the end of a sales call say, hey, what did you like best about our sales process? If this was somebody who didn't buy, hey, can I ask you a question? What did you like best about our sales process? Point is, if I ask you this question and you're telling me, man, I love this mastermind because you bring really great sales content and it's a tight-knit community of people who I really respect and enjoy spending time with. And it gives me like true accountability to make progress every couple of weeks. Well, now you just told me exactly why you should refer somebody else. Or if I ask you what your favorite part of our retreat was and you say, man, I really got clarity on my business model for the first time. And that made it really real for me. And I loved learning the sales process. And honestly, I love just hanging out with everybody and building relationships with really incredible coaches. Now you're telling me exactly why you should refer me. This puts you in a state of like recognizing the value of this for the person who you introduced me to. Then I might say something like, wow, thank you so much. I love working with you too. I'm going to give my honest response to the positive feedback. And then step 3 is going to be to ask permission to ask for help. Now this is pretty short and easy. This is the shortest step there is And I also think it's important. I'm going to say, awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. Could I ask for your help? To which everyone will say, yes. That receives a yes every single time. Could I ask for your help? One of the reasons I think sometimes people don't give referrals is because it's sprung on them in an instant and they haven't had time to warm up to the idea of it. And it feels like the most comfortable thing to say is, well, let me think about that and get back to you. Or I'm not sure if I know anybody like that. That feels comfortable and easy when somebody just says, hey, who do you know who I should be talking to? Not bad. It's an okay way to ask for referrals. But oftentimes the most comfortable thing to say is, let me think about it and get back to you. In this process, we're giving them time to warm up to the idea of giving referrals. And we're asking multiple questions that lead them to saying yes and yes and yes. And we're warming them up so that by the time we actually get to asking them for referrals, the most comfortable thing is no longer to say, let me think about it. The most comfortable thing is actually for them to say yes and give some referrals. It's actually a lot more comfortable than not giving any by the time that we get there, because we asked them if they're willing to have a referral call and they said yes. A call about feedback and referrals. Then we gave them the pre-frame. We said, does that sound good? They said yes. Then they gave us some positive feedback and shared what's so great about working with us, or what's so great about our retreat, or what was so great about our call together. And then we're asking, can I ask for your help? And they're saying, yes, you can ask for my help. And all of this is warming them up and preparing them. It's giving them time to think, you know what? Yeah, I could give some referrals. Step 4 is to share a goal that you're working towards, or your business development plan. And this is where I might say, well, yeah, can I ask for your help? They say, sure, of course. Awesome. We've got an event coming up in December, and we really want to have 20 Christian entrepreneurs there. We currently have 14 set for the event, which means we've got 6 spots left. We want to fill this with exceptional people. That's my goal. I want to fill those 6 spots. Or you might say, I'm running my first retreat in October, or I'm running my next retreat in October, and I really want to have 8 people there. We currently have 4 set. Or I'm starting a women's group coaching program in October, and I really want to have at least 4 badass boss babes in this program by the start date. Or Teresa might say, hey, I'm looking to fill 12 awesome facilitators for my new program. People like helping people who have a goal. This also creates urgency regarding why the referrals are important right now. When we share that goal with some urgency and ideally a timeline, like, hey, I'm running an event in October, I'm looking to get 3 more people in. You know, when Teresa was talking about her goal last week on our group call and saying like her event, it's coming up, you know, she really wants to get a couple more people there. And, you know, she's had all these things going on in her personal. I wanted to help with that goal. I felt inspired to ask Kara and my mom if they would like to go and to have them be a part of it, because it felt like an exciting goal. I knew it was close. It was around the corner. You know, my coaching call with Paige today, because of the urgency of her goal to launch her program in October, I felt urgency to bring my best as a coach to that call, because I'm like, man, we need to optimize the sales process ASAP. We need to get her sending messages today to fill this thing up. It's go time. The goal called me into urgency, and it called her into urgency. And that's what happens with a goal that has a deadline. People will want to help you achieve it. And so if you tell them a goal that you're working towards, they will act sooner rather than later, especially people who love you. And that leads me into step 5, which is to share the ideal client profile. I'm like, we're looking to sell 4 more coaches into our, or right now I might be saying to coaches, our next coaches retreat is in February, and we want to sell that out. We'd like to have a dozen awesome coaches there, super high integrity coaches who are going to be a fit for this kind of community. So could I share my ideal client profile with you? Yes. Another yes. Okay, our ideal client is blank, blank, blank. Your ideal client profile is like the 3 to 5 characteristics that make up the perfect client for you. If we're too broad and we just want any woman or any man to be invited to our event, that's hard for people to make referrals for. The more we narrow our focus and like are really clear about who's perfect for us, the easier it will be for people to make the right introduction. And people don't want to be silly and they don't want to waste people's time. So if they're not confident about the referral being a right fit, they won't make any referrals. And so if you're very clear about what you're looking for and your clarity and description helps them think of somebody who fits that description, then they feel confident, wow, that's exactly what you were asking for. That means that's probably a good referral and a good use of both sides' time. So in our initial men's program, I'd be like, a Christian man who's an entrepreneur or a salesperson is the ideal fit. In this program, I'd say a high integrity Christian coach is probably the most ideal fit. And totally cool for them not to be a Christian as long as they're open to the fact that, like, our company's called Faith to Influence. And obviously that's an important part of what we do. But it's also, a coach who ideally is in a position where they've already got their business started and they're making some money. Or if they haven't started their business yet, they're successful in what they're currently doing and they've got a little bit of expendable income, because naturally what we do costs some money, right? So I don't want somebody who's really, really struggling. All of you are at a certain level of success already in your coaching business or financially in your other aspirations professionally, your other jobs, careers, businesses, etc., that like you're at a place of a certain level of maturity financially where this is an option for you, right? So that's who I'm explaining what we're looking for. And so like immediately when I say coach, they're thinking about coaches they know. That's easy. Like even just that one descriptor, boom, they're thinking about the coaches they know. That helps. If Paige is like, I'm looking for boss babes. Well, people are like, okay, I know what that means. Like, or she says, I'm looking for professional women. Looking for professional women who want to have a big impact. Professional women who want to grow in their relationships. Or David Lee's like, I'm looking for women who want to heal from relational trauma. Oftentimes this is someone who's divorced or they're dealing with a hard romantic relationship right now. People are going to start to think of the people they know who fit that profile. Michael might say, I'm looking for medical practices that are somewhere between $500,000 and $5 million annually. Those might not be the numbers, but I'm speculating that those are the numbers. Or I'm looking for medical practices that have 5 to 10 employees. So people can recognize, oh, the dentists I go to, they've got that many people.
I would call it the owner-operators that can out-hustle their financial illiteracy that are running out of breath.
Yes. Great. So if you don't know what this is for you, we worked on this together in the retreat that we all did together. So you probably have an idea of what this looks like. But if you don't know what this is for you, think through who are the 3 people or the 5 people you love working with the most. And if you haven't launched your business yet, think about the 3 to 5 people who you would like to work with the most. So Teresa might say, man, out of all the clients I've worked with, who are the 5 I had the most fun working with? What do they have in common with one another? And then Paige might say, who are the 5 women I know in my life who I've met, who I just really love and respect, and I would love to be their coach. I would be honored to be their coach. I would want to be in community with them every day, talking to them. And then as you make that list of 5 people, start to compare. What do these people have in common with each other? When I think about our coaches mastermind that we've got here, the reason why I love this mastermind so much and want to pour more attention here and spend more of my business time here than in other things that I've done in business is because one of the things is I recognize that, like, not only are you all coaches and really high integrity coaches, but you also have a certain level of maturity that my other client bases do not have, that they're lacking. And you also have a certain level of like dependability and show up. You have like the attendance on this call is extremely high. It's not always this way. It's not this way in my other mastermind I lead. Our attendance and show up in this community is very high. Your maturity is very high. Each of you, not that I'll point this out when it's not the case, but each of you has made every single payment on time for your program. Not a problem, not a single issue. That's not the case in my other mastermind either. Like there's a certain level of financial maturity, a certain level of like just maturity in who you are and how you present yourself and how you show up. There's a certain level of like dependability. So like when I'm thinking about my ideal client, I'm thinking about all those things. Now I might not share every one of those when I'm asking for referrals, but that's a starting place. And I'm forming the picture of what's my ideal client look like to me so I can articulate it to someone else. Make sense? Cool. After you share the profile, you say, so who do you know who might fit that profile? And I'm going to let them think and share. And they might be like, oh, my friend John, he's a coach. Cool. Tell me more about John. Who does he coach? Who does he work with? How long has he been in business? I might get a little bit of information there. I might say, man, John sounds perfect. Who else do you know who's a coach like John? Or if Teresa's like, oh, he's in this other mastermind community I'm in. Like, awesome. That sounds like a perfect introduction. Who else do you know from that mastermind community who I should be talking to? Since it sounds like there's a lot of coaches in there. This is me giving thought joggers. So when I'm brainstorming, I'm giving thought joggers. They're like, oh, you should go to XYZ dental practice. Awesome. What part of town are they in? Oh, they're in Castle Rock, Colorado. Okay, great. Do you know any other businesses in Castle Rock? No, they're the only one I know. Okay. I know that you actually live in Colorado Springs. Have you ever gone to any dentists in Colorado Springs? Thought joggers. They're like, oh yeah, I have been. I did go to that one dentist in Colorado Springs also. Or if you're like, oh, cool. How do you know so-and-so? And they're like, oh, I went to college with them. Then Paige might be like, oh, cool. Is there anyone else that you went to college with? If you are women that you went to college with who are professional boss babes who you think would be a good fit for this. Now their mind is thinking through their college friends. Who else do I know? They're like, oh, you should talk to this person. They've been divorced for a couple of years. Oh my gosh, they sound like a perfect person. Who else do you know who's divorced who I should be talking to? Or, oh, you need to talk to so-and-so. Like they go to my church, and Pressy's like, oh, great. Who else from your church do you think wants to grow in their relationships in a Christ-like way? Et cetera, et cetera. Who else from this? Who else from that? Giving ideas. Or you might just give an idea that they haven't brought up at all. Like say, great, who do you know? I know that you're involved in XYZ community. Who do you know from that who I should be talking to? The other thing that I do during brainstorming besides thought joggers is I give verbal rewards. Verbal rewards can be very simple. It can be just, wow, thank you. That sounds like a great referral. Who else do you know who I should be talking to? But just that simple thank you is a nice transition. It's a good reminder. And I might say that like for most of them, but I also might introduce a more complex verbal reward. I might say something like, wow, this is turning out to be a great list. I really appreciate the names that you're bringing up. In my experience, Teresa, it's the people in their network who become the connectors within their network that are the most valued. I just want to thank you for being a connector for me today. I'm sure these people are going to feel the same way. Who else do you know who I should be talking to? Or I might say, wow, Michael, I really feel like these introductions are an expression of you really trusting me in our relationship. And it means a lot to me. I don't take that lightly. I promise I'm going to create a really cool experience for these people. Who else do you think I should be talking to? Just these things that encourage and make people feel good throughout the entire process. Whenever people say, okay, that's it, that's everybody I know, I say, awesome. This is a great list. Before we move on, I got to ask, is there anyone else who's flashing across your consciousness? Anyone else you think I should be talking to? And for a lot of people, when I like emphasize anyone else and I ask for one more, a lot of people give me one more. They're like, actually, you know what? Because most people have that person that they thought about, but they didn't say out loud yet. For whatever reason, they're like, is this person going to judge me for referring them? Or are they ready for this? Or, you know, whatever. They've got some kind of fear, or I haven't talked to them in a while. But when you say, is there anyone else? They're like, well, yeah, you know what? Maybe you should talk to my friend Jamie. And they bring up one more person. And if they do, I say, awesome. That sounds like a perfect referral. Thank you for thinking of one more. Is there anyone else? I'm going to ask again until there isn't anyone else. Then I'm going to say, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. This is super helpful. Then my 7th step in the process is to set the introduction plan. Because I don't want a cold referral. I don't want to make cold calls. I want a very warm layup. I want them to introduce me. The way I like to be introduced is through a group text message. It works to do a group email as well. They could introduce you in person if you live locally with this person. They could, you know, fill out a foursome for you at the golf course. You know, you could be introduced via a phone call, like a group phone call or a Zoom call. I mean, there's a million different ways. They could write a letter and send it to their friend in the mail. I've seen all kinds of weird things in sales. The easiest way for me in my business, and probably for most of you, is a group text message. It's fast, it's seen every time, it's responded to most consistently. Michael would probably be the exception where an email may be more appropriate. Unless the referral from one dentist to another, they've got a personal friendship, maybe a text is best. Those people probably get a swarm of emails and it feels like spam and it's probably gonna get ignored in a lot of cases. So if you can, get a group text message. Have the text message typed up, like Paige has her welcome to my new business, here's what I'm doing typed up, and she was able to share it with you all. Do that with your introduction text. Have it typed up as a note in your phone. So when they say, when you get the list, say, awesome. To make it most comfortable for each of these people and for you and for me, would you be willing to connect me with them via group text messages? Yes, awesome. Here's what most of my clients say. You read it to them, you text it to them, and then they can copy and paste and text it to their friends. You just tell them like, hey, feel free to change this and make it your own, however you want to say it. But the text says something like this. It's like, hey, John, thanks for taking the time to connect. No, going to my pre-frame. That's how pre-framed I am in my brain. Can't even say other things. Hey, John, meet Justin. Justin is my coach at Faith to Influence. He helps me and other high integrity coaches build their businesses, price their business models, and maximize their sales. And based on where you're at in your business, I think that he might be able to provide some support to you. I think you guys should jump on a call and get to know each other a little bit. I'll let you take it from here. Cheers, Teresa. Something like that. The most important thing is I'm like, John, meet Justin. Then I say a little bit about who Justin is. That's me. I'm writing the text for my client. And then like why they're recommending we have a call. And then I just tell them copy and paste, change it, make it your own. But it's a basic idea. Remember we developed those 3 themes of what you do for people? That's what I would include here. The themes of what you do for people, that little elevator pitch. And then after I get the text, I reply. First, I'm going to end the call with them. When we set the intro plan, I want them to commit to how they're going to introduce me, ideally text, but also when. So I'm still on step 7 here for a second. Like, hey, can you send these texts out today? Or can you send these texts out by, when can you send these texts out by? Or can you send these texts out by tomorrow afternoon or by Friday afternoon or whenever it is? It's important to get the time agreed to so that if they haven't sent them by then, you can follow up and say, hey, John, I haven't seen those messages come through yet. And it doesn't seem like you're being annoying and not giving them enough time. It seems like you're being professional and following up after the agreed upon time. But then once they've agreed to the intro plan, when and how they're going to introduce us, then I'm going to show gratitude and just end the call with like, hey, thank you so much. This is super helpful for me. It really means a lot for me and my business. So I appreciate you. Whatever you want to say there. But then after they send the text, step 9 is you want to follow up ASAP. Step 8, you show your gratitude, end the conversation. Step 9, follow up ASAP. Not within like a few seconds, like give it like 3 minutes or something. Otherwise it's just a little weird. But I would not wait like 3 days to reply to this group text. Ideally, you're following up within an hour, certainly within 24 hours to show that you've got real interest here. And I just say something simple like, thanks so much for connecting us, Paige. John, I look forward to having a call with you. Are you available tomorrow at blank or blank? Or I might say, John, I look forward to getting to know you. What time zone do you live in? Easy question to answer. It's like, oh, I'm in Central. Okay, great. Can you talk Thursday at 2 or 4 o'clock Central? That's my conversation. Pretty simple. I'm like, great. Let's do a Zoom call. What's your best email? I'll send you an invite. And I send them an invite with their email. And that's it. And I talk to them Thursday. And then the final piece is to give feedback to the referrer. So if Pressy makes a referral for me and I have a conversation with the person he introduced me to, no matter what happens, it's a positive thing for me to send Pressy a message, say, hey, thanks again for introducing me to Jeremy. He was a really great guy. We had an awesome conversation. And he's coming to our retreat in October. Or, hey, thanks for introducing me to Jeremy. It doesn't seem like it's a fit right now, but he was a really great guy, and I'd love to be introduced to more people like that. It keeps you top of mind. It gives closure to the referrer. Sometimes people will give you more referrals because you stayed top of mind and thanked them. And I'll sometimes go to the referrer, my client, if their friend hasn't responded. I might be like, hey, John never replied to that introduction. Do you want to check in with him and see if he's still open and having a call? And I'll get like, David Lee to go to work for me with his friend who trusts David, who's going to be embarrassed if they don't go to work together. If David doesn't want to make a bad referral, right? So that's the 10-step process. And it flows really easily. It's not super long. It might seem like it when we talk about 10 steps, but step 3, asking permission to ask for help, takes about 4 seconds. Can I ask for your help? Step 8 is thank you so much for your help. It's very quick. Most of these steps are very quick and easy. So the process can be done in a 15-minute call. More important than having each of these 10 steps perfectly executed is to ask. It could be 1 step, ask for referrals, as long as it's a process that you execute on every single time. Any questions on this? Michael.
I'll let Teresa go. She had a question earlier on.
Teresa.
Oh, that's okay. I think you answered it in that this referral structure, say I was going straight from, I wasn't really trying to get referrals into my retreat. I was trying to get referrals into, like you said, my facilitator program, which the retreat is a way to get to that eventually. But if I wanted to start a new facilitator group in November, another group to train 5 more people or something, go through this same thing, just look for referrals for that. This doesn't have to be retreats.
Right. This is my referral process for anything.
Anything.
Absolutely anything. You're just sharing a different goal then. Hey, my goal is to find some people who might be good fits for our facilitator program. Could I share my ideal client profile with you? Yes. Cool. My ideal facilitator is this, this, and this. Who do you know who might be a fit for that program? Same thing.
Okay.
I mean, you can use this approach for selling Cutco knives and get referred to other people for selling Cutco. It could be used for anything. Good question, clarification though. Michael?
So I had a question because I was thinking about Paige and where she's at, and I know I'm kind of on her heels, a couple months behind maybe. her audience aren't people that are already clients, that she's also going to be asking for referrals. So how would you maybe translate number 2, receive positive feedback, to maybe more of that existing person you're talking to who may or may not be a future client at that point?
Sure. Yeah, if I'm asking for referrals from somebody who's not a client, they're probably somebody who I have a friendship with. So I can skip number 2. Number 2 is like the reminder for somebody that you've provided a service to, that they're saying out loud why they should refer you instead of the other way around. But somebody you have a friendship with, they don't need to be reminded of why they should make referrals for you because they care about you already. So that's just assumed. So I would just give the pre-frame like, hey, as you know, I'm starting this new business and I really want to get connected to some of the right people to build this community with a strong foundation. So I wanted to talk to you because I really respect you and your opinion. And I think that you might know some people who could be a fit. Would you be open to me asking for your help? Yes. Great. So I'm looking to get at least 4 awesome women to start this program with me in the next few weeks. And the ideal client for me is blank, blank, and blank. Who do you know? And you just skip the positive feedback for a non-client because it's assumed that they want to help you and you don't need to take that extra step. Good question. Teresa?
And maybe I missed this and you may have shared it, but how do you transition or from if they're the ideal client, like they're really who you're looking for, like, like Paige's email that she's sending out, or text message really is saying you're the one I'm looking for.
Right.
So what's the shift? Or if, you're asking for referrals, but can you shift it a little bit language wise for me to hear when you're just going, no, I'm going after you. Like,
right. So ideally, they're not expecting that they're having a referral call. So with like the message that Paige sent out, if they respond to that, sure, I'm open to having a call, which it said to like see if you or someone you know might be a fit, is I just pre-frame that as my normal sales call. And I'm like, cool, thanks so much for getting on the call with me today. Like, I really wanted to just catch up with you and find out more about what's going on in your life right now, what's going on in your professional life as well, and your relationships. And, just talk about your vision for the future a little bit as well. And see if I might be able to support you in that. I can give you some free coaching today. Maybe my retreat will make sense for you, or maybe my group coaching program would be a fit. And I want to find out if it makes sense for you to be a part of that. And if not, if you know somebody who might be a fit. Either way, like there's not going to be any pressure on this. And I'm just excited to catch back up with you. Does that sound good? Something like that. Like whatever your normal pre-frame is, it's just a little softer with somebody but it's pretty much the same thing. And then if I was Paige, like, so catch me up. Like, what's been happening in your life? And then I'd ask more specific questions. Cool. And how's your relationship? Cool. And tell me a little bit about what's going on at work. Okay, awesome. And what's your vision for the next year? What do you really want your life to look like? And I'm just leading the call. So they're not expecting me to ask for referrals, but at the end, because I kind of maybe mention it, see if it's a fit for you or somebody else. At the end, I'm like, are you committed to solving this problem? Yes. Awesome. I think my program might be able to help you with this. Are you open to me sharing how I work with my clients? Yes. Cool. Here's the program. Is this something that you want to do? And if they're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, great. Let's get you signed up. And then I might be like, as you know, like this is a new program. I'm looking for the right people to be a part of it. Do you know other women I should be talking to? Do you have any friends who you think, man, like they would be perfect for this too? And I'm just going to ask it real low key at the end of that sale, because this person's buying, they obviously believe in it. I might just say like, hey, who else do you know? Or if they're like, nah, I don't really think that's for me right now. Like, I totally get it. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share what I'm doing and connect with you a little bit today. Could I ask for your help? Jumping right to step 3. Oh yeah, sure. Awesome. Even though this isn't a fit for you right now, what I found is it's mostly a fit for someone who blank, 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 which is your ideal client profile. Who do you know like that? Maybe I should be talking to about this. And that's brainstorm immediately. So I'm just going to jump right into like step 3, 5, 6 at the end of the call. But if I got on the phone with somebody and like I couldn't take them through an actual process, like an actual strategy session, if I was pressed on like my inability to do that, then I would open with a pre-frame like this, like, hey, thanks for jumping on the call with me today. I really want to just like share with you what I'm doing. Then I'd like to catch up a little bit with what you're up to. And then if you think that this might be a fit for you, I'd love to dive deeper. Or if you think it might be a fit for someone else, I'd love to talk about who you think I should be connecting with. Does that sound okay? Yes? Cool. So the reason I started this business is, and I would start with myself first instead of putting it last, if that was more appropriate for that person. Like the reason I started this business is I love working with professional women. I found that so many professional women feel like they're on their own, and they don't have like a deep community, a deep tribe of the right people. And there's so many challenges that we're facing with our relationships and leadership at home and in the workplace and with our communication, that it felt important to me to like get a group of women together who could support and challenge each other along the journey and have like really a lot of fun together, but also cry together and laugh together and celebrate together, all the experiences that are really important. And so that's what this community is designed for, is to help women grow in their leadership, their communication, and their relationships so they can have a better life in all the ways that are most important to them. And so I wanted to jump on a call with you because I just really respect you and who you are as a woman, the way you show up. And I thought you might be a perfect fit for this community. It's going to have group coaching and live events and some one-on-one coaching elements as well. And I wanted to find out, is that something that you'd be curious in learning more about? Are you interested in a program like that? Or if it's not for you, who you think I should be talking to? So I'll take a pause and be quiet for a minute so you can give me some feedback. What do you think about all this? And it could just be like a casual start like that. And they're like, oh man, that sounds amazing. Like, awesome. I'd love to, they're like, that's amazing. That might be for me. Okay, cool. I'd love to share more with you then. Before I share more though, could I ask you a few questions? Why don't you catch me up on where you're at? What's going on in your world right now? And then I'd casually move into the strategy session. If they're like, wow, that sounds super cool. It's not really for me. I'm not a boss babe. I'm more of like a behind the scenes gal. And it just doesn't feel like that's my kind of crew. Like, totally get it. I appreciate you getting on the call to hear about what I'm doing. It means a lot to me. Do you know some women who are professionals, who are looking to grow, who might want to be part of a community like this? Who should I be talking to? And I transition into that. That makes sense? What other thoughts or questions do we have?
I had a question on the ending part. So part 8, 9, and 10. So it's just thanking them, and then I kind of cut off. So it was follow up as soon as possible, and then give feedback. What are those two last ones? Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to.
So the actual conversation with the referral partner ends at step 8. You're like, hey, thanks so much again for helping me. I really appreciate it. That was great. And then step 9 happens after they actually send the introduction text. It's a reminder that when they introduce you to their friend, that it's best for you to follow up within an hour, and certainly within 24 hours. If for some reason you can't follow up within 24 hours, you've got a booked schedule, or you're going on vacation later the day that you're talking to them, like you're talking to them in the morning and you leave for vacation in the afternoon, and you're turning your phone off for 2 weeks, then don't have to make the introductions then. Take the names down and say, hey, can we actually follow up when I get back from vacation, have you send the text then? But make sure that when they're going to send the text, you can follow up within 24 hours, and a best practice is within an hour when you can. I'm finding that my schedule is pretty busy right now. And man, over the last couple of weeks, and it is my birthday week, which is probably why, I'm getting more messages than normal. We just moved, but like, I keep finding myself like having 30 text messages stacked on me, and I'm a 0 notification text message person. I don't hold 300 text messages unread, or 100 or 10, but I've had a couple of days in the last week or two where I'm waiting till the next morning to respond to somebody. And I don't open the text until I know I can respond personally, because otherwise I'll forget it. I had that text. So I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So I'm not necessarily getting a referral text, which I got one in my phone right now. I could tell from it because it was a name I knew and a name I didn't know, and I could read the first few lines. I've got a referral text there, and I haven't replied within an hour because my schedule is really jam-packed. But I will reply within 24 hours for sure. And then step 10 is just like when I have conversations with somebody I was referred to, it's good for me to go back to the original referral partner and tell them what happened and say, hey, I just had my conversation with John. Thank you so much for that introduction. He's coming to our next event, or he just joined our program. Or, wow, Susan was amazing. It's not the right timing for her right now, but I'd love to be referred to more people like that. Any other questions?
All great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I guess I'm assuming that you wouldn't recommend doing like any kind of group referral text, right? I mean, group referral call outs or anything like on a group me or like on a platform or anything like that. It would be more I guess efficient if you do something. I'm assuming.
I'm hearing part of that, but I want 3 people in the group in the introduction. The referrer, the referral, and me. And so if they've got 10 people they want to refer me to, I don't want to be introduced to all 10 in one message. I want 10 different messages, 10 different group texts if they want to introduce me to 10 people. But it does not have to be a text message. Some people might want to make that introduction via LinkedIn. Some people make that introduction via like a Facebook Messenger because they're like, oh, I've been following this person on Facebook. They're perfect for you, but I don't have their number. Can I introduce them via Facebook Messenger? I found Facebook Messenger to actually be highly effective as well. It would be my second choice after a text message. It would be better for me than email or any other form than a text. People really will respond to their Facebook Messenger pretty well. And what's nice about Facebook Messenger, better than text, is it tells you when somebody's read your message. So you know if they've seen it and they're ignoring you or not.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? And I don't know if you guys can hear, but my family's going crazy upstairs and Grace is laughing and having a great time, which is fun. Hopefully it made the recording. But it's
How soon is too soon to ask for a referral?
There is no too soon. I think I can ask for a referral from like a friend or someone who knows me literally anytime. And I think for somebody that I've coached or worked with or had a call with, I think if I just had a great call with somebody, I can ask for a referral right at the end of that call. If somebody came to my retreat, I can ask for a referral literally the moment the retreat's over, or even on the first day of the retreat if I really wanted to. If I know I've provided value or I've got an established relationship, I think any time is fine. That said, there are certain people that your relationship isn't as close with, and the idea that Chris Tuff presents of save your ask is, I think, to save your ask until you've built up the relational equity to ask. But if I'm on a call with somebody and they're not going to buy, it's a no sale. My relationship with them is not going to get better than it is at that moment. I've got the highest amount of leverage. Like if I just had a no sale with a random person I'm probably not going to talk to again, or I might follow up within 6 months, having just had that strategy session with them, we're probably as close as we're going to get until they come to a retreat or buy. So I might as well ask then. With an established friendship or relationship, if I'm starting a new business, like we've had that relationship for a while, I'm just going to ask right away because we already have a great relationship and my need is urgent. If I had somebody who I had in my network who I was at the beginning stages of developing a relationship with, who I think is a perfect referral partner, but I don't think I've established enough of a relationship, with them, I might take my time a little bit more. I might send them a gift. I might give them a referral first. I might try to add some value to them first before I ask. But if somebody joins your program, if they've been in your program for, I mean, you could ask them the moment they join your program. I would say, awesome, I'm so excited for you to be a part of this. As you know, I'm looking to fill this with like really great women. Is there anyone else you know I should be talking to? Well, I'll give you $100 as a thank you if anybody else you know joins the program. Like, yeah, that's fair to ask right away. And then it would be reasonable for you to ask like a month later or something like, hey, you've been in the program for a month. I'd love to get some feedback from you on what you're liking best about the program. And also talk with you again about like, now that you know what we do, is there anyone who I should be talking to in your network who you think would be an ideal fit for our community? But you figure out what timing works best for you in your process. You just want to be consistent and ask every person. And it could just be after your strategy session with every person, buy or not. It could be after your retreat with every person. It could be after every person's third call with you. And you just put it in your calendar when somebody joins. This is the week of their third call. This is time to ask. You know, it could be whatever feels right to you.
Awesome.
Anything else? All right. I'm going to have McCall share this on the group text thread so you can watch it and learn more and study the steps. And again, I'm going to reemphasize it. I know I have a few times already. Just ask. We should make like Nike shirts that say just ask. And on the back, the referrals.
Do you have the templates or something that we can read off of, or some, like, I know you talked.
This is my only template. This 10 steps, this is all I've got written down. And then besides that, you could rewatch the recording and just click pause and write some stuff down and rewind and rewatch if the steps. This is all I've got written. It's just the 10 steps.
Okay.
I'm not a script every word guy. I probably teach this a little bit differently every time, but it's basically the same. But you can script it out if you want, man. Throw it in the group thread for everybody. I'm sure they'd love that. All right. Thanks for being on the call today. This was fun.
Thanks, guys.
I'll talk to you guys soon. McCall will share the recording. Later.
Yeah.